Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to We Believe Digital Studios for our twice weekly news break show. Let's see, we got about 16 stories for you today, broadcasting live from Jackson, Mississippi, where it's a very interesting place. A lot of things go on down here. There's always so much news and so much going on. The capital city, you know. So we have these legislators in town now for the 2024 legislative session. So they'll be running to the end of April. So here we are, March. So that sounds good. And we'll get started on the local level. My name is Chris Young. We'll get started on the local level. And a story from WJTV. The Jackson City Mayor Chokwe Antar Lumumba's recent comments on a new garbage contract has other city leaders concerned. City of Jackson's current emergency contract with Richards Disposal is set to expire at the end of March. Although the mayor said he plans to meet with Richards soon to negotiate contract terms, some city leaders are not okay with being left in the dark. Yeah, I know that the council has been adamant for almost a year now about the mayor doing the RFP. I know that there have been results from the RFP. We've proposed vendors, and we have still, as of today, not seen what is proposed or what is in that contract, said City Council President Aaron Banks, Ward 6. We don't want to go through another crisis like we did a year ago that was so disruptive to the citizens, and it raises the level of anxiety with the citizens want to make sure they have garbage pickup. So the sooner we get it, the better, and the more responsive we can be to try to complete the process, said Councilman Ashby Foote. Ward 1 of Ward 1. Lumumba, the mayor, said he plans to meet with City Council once negotiations have been finalized with Richards Disposal. So you see what the mayor is up to, because he knows who he's dealing with that council. So it's a strategy, you know. Big meeting last night down at Black's Chapel. And you know the topic of the meeting was the Lynch Creek watershed, Lynch Creek flooding issues. If you live anywhere in West and towards South Jackson, you know all about it. Probably about 200 people were there. It was a great event. They served some pizza and some soda and some bottled water. And the presenters talked about this now being an assessment phase. So they were really asking the people, they call it public scoping. Public scoping. I like that. You know, because they're in the assessment phase, so they want to get as much information as possible, make sure they identify all the problem areas, the runoff, the flooding that comes out of this creek. And also, it's not just Lynch Creek. It's also Upper Bogue Cheeto Creek, Hanging Moss Creek, and Lake Ridgelea, or otherwise known as Big Creek, down by Byram. So there's 4 different watersheds in the overall in Hinds County. And so they're trying to get to the bottom of that. And then when they do that, then they'll move into what they call a design phase, and they'll have people try to figure out what it's going to take. They identify all the problem areas, then they have a team to design a solution for all that. Then they put contracts out for the bidding, to get it fixed, the construction phase. So, and this time, in comparison with the last efforts they made to fix these problems from flooding of these creeks, this project is 100% federally funded. Reading between the lines, 18 months to 24 months before project completion, maybe even a little longer. There's another birth control option for women in the United States following the reversal of Roe v. Wade, which upended abortion access. And I saw comments from a North Jackson pharmacy, so I included it as a local story. Opill is available for pre-order this week from select online retailers, expected to be on store shelves at major retailers nationwide in the coming weeks. Opill was approved for use without a prescription in July, but it was first after being first approved with a prescription back in 1973. It's what's known as the mini pill because it is progestin only, not no estrogen involved. When taken directly at the same time every day, Perrigo is up to 98% effective in preventing pregnancy. We currently have prescription medication or prescription birth control. This is a quote from the pharmacist. Right now there are progestin-only medication that has been prescribed for years, and it's been very effective in reducing the risk of unintended pregnancy. That's according to Dr. Andrew Clark, pharmacist at Northtown Pharmacy in Jackson. He said the launch will provide access to birth control for those who may be uninsured or underinsured. A 1-month supply of Opill will cost about $20. So coming soon. Shifting to local basketball now. Well, local, regional, state really. Raymond is the boys' champion. That was on Saturday. And that's the fifth state title in 8 years for the Raymond boys basketball. That's 4A state championship. For the girls, 6A Neshoba Central turned a close game into a full throttle blowout to win the 6A championship 53-39 over Terry at the Coliseum on Saturday night. This is Neshoba Central's 4th state championship. So shifting out to other Mississippi news, today just another day where we have the legislature in session, but no hearings being held on the TANF scandal. This is part of their modus operandi. They don't like things to be transparent. They don't want the public to know a lot of things, even though the public pays their salaries, foots the bill for everything, but they don't want it out in the open. So upwards of a $97 million theft by under the eye of 2 governors and their appointees. And why they don't want to have those hearings, because there's just no way that a handful of people could have done that their own selves. And so there's a whole lot of people involved, a whole lot more people maybe not involved but had knowledge of, and all good Christian family people, but nobody's saying a word about it. So a legal process is going on, but that's going to fall full short of full accountability for all those that were involved. These guys refused to hold hearings. The largest fraud in the state's history, and they ain't having no hearings about it. I was talking to Rankin County NAACP President Angela English a few days ago, and she told me she's getting ready to go to Los Angeles. Well, Rankin County, Mississippi, a long way from Los Angeles. But she's not just getting ready to go to Los Angeles. Angela English, soldier, Angela English is going to the NAACP Image Awards on March 16th. And she's not going there just to be a spectator. Angela English doesn't do stuff like that. Travel across the country, just, She going there because she has been selected as the NAACP Activist of the Year. How about that? A high honor for Angela English, a real foot soldier, and really putting pressure on and breaking parts of that story wide open about that goon squad in Rankin County. She has been a true leader. Lots of action. Plenty of words, but lots and lots of action. Lots of public meetings. Every time that happens, see, it puts pressure. Remember what we were just talking about a minute ago, the legislature. They don't want the public meeting. Angela English called a public meeting, right? And get people to come into town. Those attorneys that go after these civil rights cases. Dr. Cornel West was over there one day when we were over there. So congratulations to Angela English, Mrs. Angela English, Activist of the Year, NAACP Image Awards. So we've all heard that talk about the closing down of 3 HBCUs in Mississippi. That story got warped out of the gate. The bill that was put forth by this white man in Hattiesburg, a long time, older man from Hattiesburg, white, was to have the Institution for Higher Learning identify 3 schools, 3 universities rather, to be shut down by next June, to identify the 3 and then have them shut down within the following 3 years after that. That was what the bill said. The bill is now dead. The bill's out. According to newsobserver.com, a bill that was thought to threaten multiple HBCUs did not pass in the state's legislature. John Polk is the oppressor, the man introducing that bill. John Polk, Senator John Polk of Hattiesburg. Sponsor of controversial Senate Bill 7526 wanted to make that much clear. Please get that message out, he told the Clarion Ledger. The chair has killed my bill. That way I can sleep at night. So, do you mean to tell me that he didn't know for a minute what would happen if he put a bill out like that? And the reaction was swift. The reaction was direct. And now he say he's going to be able to sleep at night. But I would ask Senator Polk this. How can you even have thoughts like that and sleep at night? What is it about your brain and about your knowledge of people and about your lack of love for some people, preference for love? That's not what Jesus said. And what is it about that? What is it about that? How could you be sleeping at night and end up introducing a bill like that? See, it's just so hypocritical, Senator John Polk. And you're not right for that, and we're not going to forget that. You whipped everything into a frenzy. The Mississippi Link newspaper was told offline by a senator that it was never intended to pass. It was never meant to go anywhere. It was only meant to stir things up. Crazy. Crazy the way these people think. Mississippi River Bridge going to be closed at I-20 on March 11 and 12 going west, and 13 and 14 coming east. I think we're up on the first our only break, so let's go ahead and cut out for a couple of commercials. We'll be right back with you.
Have you had your Earthblend coffee today? At Earthblend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection, giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earthblend Coffee. To order, visit earthblendcoffee.co now.
The Mississippi Link is an African-American female-owned newspaper with a trusted voice that is highly respected throughout the city, state, and nation. Our motto, Keepers of the Knowledge for People Who Speak the Truth, since 1993. Link significantly influences the thoughts, attitudes, and buying decisions of its readers. Call us at 601-368-8481 for your advertising needs. If you would like to receive a newspaper in the mail each week, our annual subscription is only $52 per year. That is only $1 per week for you to stay informed regarding many stories that you can only get in the Mississippi Link. Sign up today at themississippiLink.com and click on Home Delivery.
Welcome back, everybody. Glad to have you at the We Believe Digital News Break. Just got one more story on the Mississippi side, and then we'll shift on to national news. Yesterday was a deadline for the bills in the legislature, so anything that was not passed out of committee by yesterday is dead. But a bill that would replace the Mississippi Adequate Education Program, MAPE, is called the Inspire Act. Proponents of the bill say it's a similar formula and more equitable compared to MAP. The Inspire Act would mandate a minimum base student cost of $6,650, as well as give school district more funding based off the amount of students that struggle with disabilities, are English language learners, or are low-income students. Full funding of this formula would be increased by $240 million if passed and signed into law. Now, here come some words from the author of the bill. Sad. The MAPE formula, which was a good formula in its day, the man says, but it's 32 years. We haven't done anything to this formula in 32 years, and then we've only been able to finance it to the amount that it's, said to do twice. So they create a formula for funding of education in Mississippi. Let me tell you a little secret. Mississippi could stand to have some education, so they create a formula to fund public education, but then they don't follow their own formula. Only funded it twice, and now they're talking about increasing that $241 million. Come on now, this is craziness, and there's more to this bill than meets the eye, because he's focusing on the funding, but he's not talking about what happens to the public school systems when kids run off to the charter schools or other private schools. The bill did pass out of committee on yesterday afternoon and is still alive. The earliest it could be brought up on the House floor is tomorrow. The Inspire Act. We'd like to see that go down. And then on national news, before Vice President Kamala Harris delivered pointed remarks on Sunday in Selma, Alabama, which I was privileged to be there, she went right in on the need for an immediate ceasefire between Israel and Hamas as part of a deal to release hostages. But officials at the National Security Council toned down parts of her speech prior to her delivering the speech. 3 current U.S. officials and a former U.S. official familiar with the speech told NBC News. and she was there, and she dove in deep on Israel and Hamas, but come to find out, it had been toned down by the National Security Council. I guess they get to review all that kind of stuff. Apparently, they're not wanting to criticize Israel too aggressively. Over 30,000 Palestinians dead. But they don't want to, you got rapes going on of hostages, you got hunger issues, food issues, medicine issues. It is a war zone. But the United States don't want to criticize Israel too much. They don't want to be too aggressively critical. November, this story, this really could go either way for national or world news, but November's presidential election may be 9 months away, but Europe is already trying to Trump-proof itself, fearing what a second term for the Republican might mean for America's closest allies. During his first 4 years, Trump shocked the Europeans by upending the transatlantic balance on which the post-war Western world was built. Their main concern is a re-election of Trump would double down, halting aid to Ukraine and reneging on Washington's promise to defend NATO partners, to leave them more vulnerable to attack by Russia. Quote, if Trump were re-elected, we would face a situation in Europe that has not occurred since the end of the Second World War, said Norbert Röttgen, a veteran German lawmaker and ex-chair of the Bundestags's Foreign Affairs Committee. Europe would have to stand up on it for its own security in an unprecedented way. So Europe trying to Trump-proof itself before the November election. A series of recent high-profile crimes in New York City subway prompted Governor Kathy Hochul on Today to send National Guard members into the sprawling underground network. Hochul is ordering a force of nearly 1,000, comprised 750 National Guard, then state police, MTA officers, to conduct bag checks at some of the busier stations. An effort, she said, is aimed to, quote, rid our subways of people who commit crimes and to protect all New Yorkers, whether you're a commuter or a transit worker. No one heading to their job or to visit family or go to a doctor appointment should worry that the person sitting next to them on a subway possesses a deadly weapon, she told reporters. And the MTA official, Thomas Tafe, I believe, he said that reducing the fear of crime is as important as reducing crime itself. Interesting. Okay, on to the Super Tuesday results from yesterday. A Republican needs 215 delegates to earn the party's nomination. Well, after yesterday's Super Tuesday primaries, Trump has 1,059 out of the 1,215 that he needs. Haley earned a total of 93 and then dropped out of the race last night. Democrats need to earn 1,968 delegates. Biden now has 1,589. And we are just 11 days away from Selection Sunday. Can you believe it? Selection Sunday, I mean, the committee meets, the seating is established, and you know what comes next. Those brackets. So we're only 11 days away, maybe 12 days away from getting a bracket in your hand. How about that? A couple more stories now on the global level. Yulia Navalny, wife of the opposition leader Alexei Navalny, who was called on Russians to join an election day protest at noon on March 17th and to vote against President Vladimir Putin or to spoil their ballots. In a YouTube video, the widow of Alexei Navalny Navalny said she had drawn hope from the huge crowds that turned out for the funeral of her husband, who died in an Arctic penal colony February 16th, and who since then have submerged his grave in a sea of flowers. And she's moved by that, and now calling on people to come out March 17th, so less than a month later during these elections. Now you all know that there is actually a lot of us, she said, all of who love and support Alexei, who shared his ideas, and as long as we have each other, it's not over. A senior United Nations official has found, quote, clear and convincing, unquote, information that hostages have been raped and sexually abused in Gaza, and reasonable grounds, quote unquote, reasonable grounds to believe sexual violence, including rape and gang rape, occurred during the October 7th terrorist attack led by Hamas. Based on the information, the mission team found rape, sexual torture, cruel, inhumane, degrading treatment has been committed, in a report adding it as reasonable grounds to believe such violence may be ongoing. Pramila Patten, the Secretary General's Special Representative on Sexual Violence in Conflict, said in a 23-page report she was unable to determine the exact scope of sexual violence that occurred on October 7th. She concluded that finding the precise number of sexual assaults and identifying the perpetrators of such crimes would require a full-fledged investigation and, quote, may take months or years to emerge, unquote. Last year, a bad year for migration. At least 8,565 people died on migration routes across the world last year, making 2023 the deadliest year on record for migration. The International Organization for Migration said the number of migrant deaths recorded last year surpassed the number and missing globally in the previous record year of 2016, when that number was over 8,000. Last year's death toll was also 20% increase from the year before, 20 to 22. To learn more information about that, go to the website, the International Organization for Migration. And that story comes to NBC News from Reuters. So we thank you so much for joining us today for the We Believe Digital News Break. Be back with you Friday at 3 p.m. Take good care of yourselves and each other. We'll see you then.